So this is the key takeaway post, my episode titled Understanding Pain with Dr. John Guerrero. And so first off, let me start with defining pain. What is it? I look at pain as almost like the dashboard lights on your car, right? They come on when you need gas or if you need an oil change, and the body's very similar. So it's an alarm system. It's warning you and telling you that there may be some damage here or there's something worth paying attention to. And in the episode, one of the big questions that I had was, can you have damage without pain or pain without damage? So like if I break my bone right now, can I break my bone and not actually feel pain? Or can I feel the pain and have nothing actually happen? And the answer is yes, which then helps me to define pain a little bit more, because pain is not just this literal damage that happened to your body. It's also how your brain interprets this damage or the potential of damage or threat, right? So your brain is playing a really big part in all of this. I would divide it pretty much into three categories to some degree. You have your conscious control, you have your subconscious brain, and then you have the physiological factors outside of your brain, whether that be, your peripheral, or your nociceptors, for example, which are specialized receptors that are there to pretty much tell the brain where there may be some damage that happened. It might sense changes in heat or pressure or different things in that realm, and it sends a signal to the brain, and then the brain's gonna either accept this or say, no, it's not worth paying attention to, and that brain plays that next level there. So to start off with, you have the experiences of the body, right? The sensors on the body. And again, I mentioned those are, for example, nociceptors, which are sending those signals. They may sense something that was a threat or something that had the potential to cause damage, and then it'll let the brain know. Then we have the subconscious brain, and the subconscious brain, there is no there's no clear divide with these things. The subconscious brain is part of the body and all. Right, all these things are very hard to separate, but for the sake of explaining it, we're trying to make some divisions here. But your subconscious brain would be, in part, the actual bodily experiences, but it's also how you're interpreting it, and it's probably based on past experiences or past memories, all the way down from when you're a child. If you stubbed your toe on a couch, for example, what did that mean when you were a kid? Did your parents yell at you? Did your parents make it a big deal? What culture were you a part of? That was a big thing that we, talked about in the episode. He said, John mentioned that Russian and Japanese cultures tend to be a little bit more stoic, whereas Latin cultures are like Spanish or Italian tend to express feeling a little more. And stoic might mean that they're not going to let you know about, they might experience the pain but might not tell you too much about it. So what culture did you grow up in? Myself, I grew up in the martial arts, and so it's not always a culture from around the world. It could be an activity that and the culture from that activity. So when I did the martial arts, pain is a little bit more a part of the art. If you think about resistance training, you're breaking down the body and rebuilding it. These are cultures that might accept pain a little bit more. So what are the experiences? Do you have trauma? Did you have an incident where you got hit by a car? Now when your body, senses certain things that are similar to that moment, it kind of panics a little, or, so trauma, culture, all of these things are playing a role in your subconscious experience to whatever this is. Another big one is, how much experience do you have with this type of pain? So one thing we talked about in the episode was graded exposure. So I'll use that martial art example. There's something called Makawari board, right, where you kind of hit and you punch it right? And you're kind of breaking down the knuckle a little bit and rebuilding and trying to build the toughness there. And graded exposure means you gradually expose yourself to this thing. You don't go whacking the board super hard. You start a little bit easy, and you gradually build your tolerance to this type of pain. So your subconscious brain is playing a big part. And then you have your conscious, or the things that you can actually think about here right now, the things you can control in this very moment, and the discipline where you can override some of these subconscious things. There might be stuff like positive self-talk, like telling yourself, I'm going to be all right, I got this, it's not a big deal. There's the placebo effect, which is, I think, part conscious and unconscious or subconscious, but what are other people telling you? Oh, this is going to be the best treatment, or this is going to be the best thing. It's going to make you feel great. So the things you tell yourself, the things other people tell you, the current environment that you're around, which again is also part conscious and subconscious. There's some stories, and John mentioned one where, like, for example, warrior gets shot and they don't feel it and they keep doing what they have to do, then they feel it later on. And the brain is pretty much overriding and saying there's other things that are higher priority right now. So your current environment, which is part conscious and part subconscious, but is also playing a role in all of this. And, I believe the subconscious is playing the biggest role. So when it comes to pain and your relationship with pain, that's something that you would, if you like the current relationship, or if you don't like the current relationship, or if you wanted to change it, you would have to consider how you're building out your subconscious, relationship, where the you're almost convincing the subconscious side of your brain that this is okay, or this is not so bad, or again, giving that gradual graded exposure, or things like that. So, quick review so far. Pain is your alarm system. It's a multi-system output, is what John said, which means multi-systems are contributing to this. You have your current very conscious relationship with the pain. You have your subconscious relationship with the pain. And you have your bodily sensors that are sending some sensory input. And all three of those combined, the sensory input, your past experiences, and your current control, all are shaping how you're experiencing this pain. The subconscious and the sensors probably have the biggest impact on the pain that you're feeling. However, telling yourself positive things, placebo effects, what people are telling you, all of your things that you have current control over, it's not magic. Those are actually helping as well. Placebo effect, they say, can attribute to up to like 30% in modalities, so or in certain treatments. I think mindfulness meditation is shown to help up to 30% or so. So while it's a small amount, it still is playing a role in all of this, and it's not just in your head. But that is helping you to understand a little bit more about what pain actually is. Remember, pain is a good thing, because if you didn't have pain, your body wouldn't know that something is wrong, and you probably wouldn't pay attention to it. So it's a good thing. John said in the episode, when you feel pain, don't freak out. Have a little bit more of a curious mindset. Don't catastrophize it. Don't make it, oh my God, this is the end of me and it's all over. Instead, think more so about, with a curious mindset, of what is this, and why is my body telling me to pay attention to it? I think understanding pain more and having a mindset like that around pain can help you to build a better relationship with it. So those are a couple of my big takeaways. I hope you tune into the episode. We had a lot of other good gems in there. We talked about, overuse injuries and things a little bit more in the PT realm, physical therapy, and we talked about the importance of movement, where some physical therapists would say that you should have more bed rest, but they're saying to move a little bit more, especially within reason or when you can. But we had a lot of other good gems in that episode, and I hope you tune in, and I hope you took something away from this.